Okay, so for this lab session, we'll be doing classification on a simple data set. It's a toy example, and for which you need to download this lab-4 folder from the course portal, which is under hands-on labs and solutions. And download it, unzip this folder, and just copy all its contents and paste it in lab3. Wherever you saved lab3, just paste all its contents, because we will be using the same training loops we created last lab session, right? So,
Okay.
and we'll be using auxiliary.py to move our like if you have CUDA, then to move it to your GPU, like the model and all the tensors that we are creating, we that particular file is under auxiliary. So all of them are interconnected, and therefore we will just copy
Right.
all these files and put them in lab3.
Labs, lab 3. Okay, so I have the lab4 zip file within the lab 3 folder. Do I just unzip it right there?
Yeah, and just don't keep it as a folder. Just copy all its content and place it right next to, lab3 contents folder. So they should be listed together.
Right, so it is classification visualization.py, toy classification.ipynb, Jupyter
Yes.
notebook file, and whirlpool dataset.csv.
Yes.
Okay, when I extract it, it came at the same level, so it's within lab 3
Okay.
folder, so that's perfect.
Okay. So I think we can start with today's session. Was everyone able to do it, or should we wait a few more minutes? Can I get a thumbs up? Yes, no.
Let's see,
So you
clicking
said
on me.
download the lab4
Okay.
and copy the toy classification notebook to the lab3. Is that what you want to do?
I am saying copy all its content and just place it in lab3.
If
Okay,
you
so
take the zip file and put it in the lab 3 folder, and then just say extract,
okay,
the
sounds good.
3 files within will be in the lab 3 folder, so it should be perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's start with today's session. I see that Amrit has done it. Okay. So it's working. So now for this session, we'll start by importing all the necessary modules and libraries. So we have torch, torch.nn, torch tutors data. These are standard ones. This one actually is not needed. This was for another problem. You can like delete this line actually if you want. It's not
Or comment it.
super important. Yeah, or comment it. So then we use matplotlib to plot. We also use data set classes. This is also we don't necessarily use it because we define our own data set here. Then training loops, sklearn metrics, and classification visualization. So this is the new bit of code we're using for this problem. So again, these are just some plot styles. These are good to use when you're using with matplotlib, some standards that you set, and just copy it to all your notebooks so that all your visualizations are very similar, right? They follow a standard. So this is for that. Okay, so we are going to load our data set, and first we are going to load them into a pandas data frame. And then we are going to convert them into NumPy arrays and then uh, to tensors. So here my source is Whirlpool dataset. And if you've attended ML-100 or ML-200 or data wrangling, any of those courses, you know that this is how we read a file into a data frame. It's just easy to work with data frames, right? So, and then we're going to drop one column, which is unnamed 0. So if you don't drop this column, let me run this for cell. Let's see if it runs without an error.
I
Okay.
don't see the simple data set.
Sorry?
I'm getting the same error.
From dataset classes, import simple dataset.
Okay.
Cannot import name simple dataset from dataset classes.
Can you show me your folder structure?
Sure.
Let me stop sharing.
Sure. Let me share that screen. So I am in lab 3. I had the zip file. I have the notebook and the data set, but the Whirlpool data set, not the one referenced in the notebook. And
Oh, I don't think there's simple data. It just comment that line. Comment it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Does
That's
it run
easy
now?
to do.
Amrit and
Yep.
okay. So yeah, my dataset classes has this extra class which I created. So not to worry.
Okay.
So
Loads the data set.
yeah, let's
it
load
works
this.
for me.
Okay. And so we run the cell without this df.drop, right? So we get this extra column, which we do not need. And it's just easy to work with pandas data frame, and you can easily drop this column. Okay. And you just say unnamed 0, and you want to drop along axis 1. So this is axis 0 horizontally, and vertical is axis 1. So we say axis 1. And we also say in place equals true, which means this change will happen to df and it is not returned.
And please
right?
remember
So,
the changes is what it's
yeah.
telling it.
Yes. So now we have this data set, and we can see we have x1, x2, and t. Here, x1 and x2, they refer to the input variables, right? These are the features, and t is the prediction. Okay, so we can do one more thing. We will see t dot, df, and within brackets t dot unique. So this will tell me what are the different classes that I have, how many classes I have, and what are the different classes. Yes.
Oh,
See,
shoot.
sir. So we have this 0 and 1, right? So there are just two classes. They will be our predictions. Now, what we will do is we will split our data frame into features and target variable, right? So the standard way to do is capital X for features and small y for labels. Okay, so this is how we do it. Now let me run it. Okay, all right. So let me plot this data and see how it looks. Okay, is this cell running for you properly?
I see the
Can
graph
you-
fine. I'm realizing I need to edit the Python file to add the learning rate for cells down below.
I'm not getting the plot either.
You're not getting the plot?
No, it's actually a pretty long error. But it says okay, it's a runtime error. Failed to process string with text because LaTeX could not be found.
Oh, you need to set to false up in the imports.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, guys, you just by default keep this false. Okay, everyone. Only if you have LaTeX. If you've attended previous courses, you might have LaTeX installed.
Yeah, I have it.
Otherwise, yeah. So by default, just set this to false. Okay.
Okay, works.
Yeah, and I remember making this change, which Kate, you're right. I'll help you make this change. Okay. So
Yeah, I need to remember that change.
okay. So you see this visualization, everyone? Can I get a thumbs up?
Yes, it looks nice. You mean a thumbs
Okay,
up or raise
okay,
the hand in the chat?
yeah, anything.
Anything.
Okay. So I see Amrit has raised his hand. All right. So we see this data set and this is how it looks. So we have two classes. Red, we have one red and we have one blue class. Okay. And they are pretty intermixed, right? So we want to classify them and we can naturally see what the classifier is supposed to be, right? We want it to be something like this. So let's see how it works. Now let's create a data set. So in previous lab or in the labs before, we had a separate function to create a data set. So, but this is the simplest way to create your data set, right? So torch utils data and you say, I want to create a tensor data set. You, as the first argument, you pass what you want as your input. Second argument is what you want as your labels, right? So this is basically what you do, and then you pass its a data type. Okay, for labels, it's generally torch.long. And then x torch float 32 if it's a number. So these are that. And then I say training loader equals data loader data set. So now I created a data loader, which will, like in the previous lab we discussed, it will throw out my different indices of my data set one by one and in a random order till it exhausts all the all the data points, right? So that's my data loader, and here I'm just going to do it one by one. So it's going to be a stochastic gradient descent. All right, so let's see what it should be now. This is what is important to note in this lab. Okay, guys, were you not able to see my screen till now?
We can see.
Okay, all right. Okay, so for in features, how many in features do we have? If you notice, it's x1 and x2. So here, y is not actually something that you can plot. It's just the color, right? So x1 and x2 refers to one point, and so we want to pass in a feature vector which contains two features, right? x1 and x2. So we have in features 2. So now why do we have out features 2? What do we expect the model to output if the out features are 2?
Two categories.
Yeah, correct. So the model has it does have one y value, but it has two classes. So we wanted to give us some sort of probability of saying, okay, I want a probability of it being in class 1 or class 0 or class 1, right? So that's why our out features is 2. So it actually is the number of labels that are available in our data set. I mean, in the labels. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, and so we do this same thing again. Here we have our input. We have our hidden layers, right? And input and output features, and we use tan h activation. Okay, so for loss functions, if you remember, I think last Monday, Asif went over cross entropy loss in pretty much a lot of detail. So it's for classification, we use cross entropy loss because we want to minimize our unpleasant surprise. So that's the loss function we'll be using. So, but then the rest remains the same, except, okay, I made this small change because by default learning rate was 0.01 and 0.001, which is too slow for this lab. So let's just go to the training loops, and you just have to make this change. If you see train simple network, the first line is optimizer. You're defining an optimizer. And here there would be a default learning rate, 0.001. Just note that. Go to train the arguments and create a new argument saying LR equals 0.001, which is your default. Okay. And then just say LR equals LR.
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that? The only thing we're changing is
So you add a new, I don't think you'll find this there in your train simple network, an additional line. Do you see LR equals 0.01?
in line 20.
You won't see it, so add
Yeah.
it there.
Okay.
And in line 21, you'll see as arguments to SGD, you'll see LR equals 0.001 or something like that. So just change that to LR.
Okay.
Okay. So probably you'll have to restart. Okay. Restart your kernel and run all cells. Okay. What you can do is till here, click on the cell and just restart kernel and then cell, run all above. So you'll be back here.
I think there's some other lines that need to be updated.
Okay, what are they?
Let's see, train simple network, it says LR equals 0. Oh, on line 17, where it says train simple network model loss func. Oh, yeah, that's just in the Jupyter Notebook cell where it says train simple network model, and it's handing it. So let's see, it needs to see that in train simple network. Maybe I didn't.
Okay, let me run and see if mine's okay. Training loader. Oh, I didn't run this.
Train simple network. Oh, I think that needs it added too. On line 15.
Line where?
In training loops.py.
You are loading train simple network here, right? In your first cell.
Yes.
Are you
Yes, so I'm
importing
looking
it?
at the,
Okay.
the code in training loops.py
Okay.
on line 15.
Mm-hmm.
The parameters to the function train simple network.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, they invoke the optimizer, torch.optimizer model LR equal, but that should be That should be able to be overwritten, right? Oh, no. The LR needs to be on line 20. It needs to be LR equal LR. I think I missed that. I don't know if you went over that.
LR
Right.
equals, it should have a default value. Yeah, this should be 0.001. And
But in the
there are two
optimizer
changes.
call,
Yeah, optimizer, it should be LR equals LR. Did you make that change?
yes, I'm making that change. I think I did that.
Okay. So you can run this cell now. Run model NNC, this cell number, I mean, under data loader, right? Second cell under data loader section. Is that cell running properly for you?
Let's check.
And Amrit, you may want to comment out this line and
Yeah,
remove it.
I just made it CPU.
Okay.
And it
And
runs.
it's running.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get a loss of around 33 at the very end. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good.
How did you
It's
check
busy running now.
Kyle, how do you know
Yes.
what your loss was at the last epoch?
So I made some changes that it's not showing up here, but you know, in this, I have commented out the print line.
Oh,
You
okay.
can, if I uncomment it, I'll also see the same.
Okay.
So, okay.
Looks very nice.
All right. So let's then do the model prediction. So here I'm just passing in a tensor of 2, 2. Okay. Which is
Oh.
somewhere here, right? So we just want to see what is its prediction, or what exactly does our model output, right? Before we do anything else. So we see these numbers, okay? And they are nowhere, like, they're pretty similar, right? We see minus 0.22 and minus 0.26. So it looks like the model is pretty confused as to where to classify it. But also we see there these numbers are negative and they are not like probabilities, they're not adding up to 1. So we want probabilities as outputs. So do you remember what we do to like convert these numbers to probabilities?
Take the log.
It was,
Softmax.
yes, we do softmax. Yeah, so instead of log, we take the exponential, right? So if you remember exponential function, it is for any like power, right? So if the powers are in negative, it's like really close to 0, and then if the powers like increase beyond 0, they exponentially shoot up. So that's the function that we want to use, and then divide by the sum of all of them, so that we get a probability in the end. Okay. So that's what softmax does. So we want to convert this and do a softmax, right? And then visualize the results. So let's go to this visualize 2D softmax. So this is the function that does it for us. Let's see what it does. Let's open PyCharm and let's open classification visualization .py. Okay, can I continue? Have you guys opened this file?
Kyle, it's hard to keep track because you're explaining and you're also asking us to do. So we can either do
All right.
this or that. That's what I feel.
Okay. We can do it slowly if you want, because it,
Okay.
or actually you don't need to open this file, because yeah, you're not going to run anything here.
I'm just
like,
opening it as a simple text file, just to look
Yeah.
at it, as opposed to using PyCharm.
Yeah. So you don't need to open it. Just you can watch it here, because I'm just going to explain what this code does. So this function, it takes in inputs X, Y, model, density, title, and device. Okay, so X is our input, Y is our labels, model. This is the model that we trained. Okay, which is going to give us the predictions, and density is like sort of uh, the granularity of your model and how clear you want it, right? So in the notebook I've used 50, so that you see a lot of lines in the visualization you'll see next. You can play around this with this, right? And you'll see a difference in your visualizations. And here is the title for the plot. So this is going to return a plot. It's going to show us a plot, and this is device. This is the device. So let's these are some manipulations that I do here. So I say x1, I take out x1 and I take out x2 from my input features. Then I calculate its range. Okay, so this is a technique that ASIC does, and it's recommended as well. So what we do is we calculate the range of x1s, right, and range of x2s, and in our plot we want we don't want our plot to just end where where we have one data point. The data points will be like at the extremes of your plot. We don't want that, so we create an x min, which is the minimum minus 10% of your range, so that we sort of expand our plot like in the x-axis and y-axis by 10% of your range. So this is a technique to do that. Then this is to create a mesh grid. If you attended the visualization course, this might be familiar to create contour plots. So np.meshgrid sort of creates a grid of points. Okay, so we want to evaluate we want to make predictions for the points in this grid. Okay, and with those predictions we can actually create a contour plot, right? So we'll see how that works, but just know that np.meshgrid returns a grid of points that we've made from x min to x, x min, x max, y min, y max. Okay, and num is density, right? So these are the number of points that are created in the x-axis and y-axis, and then they're like meshed together to create like, so if there are 20 points here and 20 points here, there are 400 points created, right? So the next is so we have these 400 points, and then we stack them together. So we want to create a pair. We want to create an x1 x2 pair that we can pass into the model, which the model will return a prediction out. So this is x1 x2, right? So this is this is like a sort of a you stack these two rows together. Then with torch.nograd, so we are going to create some tensors. We're going to basically the model is going to make predictions for these values. Okay, and it's going to be returned, and we're going to store it under logics. Okay, and then we say what exactly our y hat is f.softmax. So this is the softmax function. We pass in the output from the model here. Okay, and then we say dot cpu dot numpy. So oops, okay, so if you notice the model, these are tensors. Okay, but what we want as output is a numpy array, and that's why we say we first move all of them to CPU and then convert them to numpy. Okay, move all these tensors. Yeah.
What is that CPU exactly does here? Because is it we are running this on the GPU, or like why would the CPU is required?
Yes, if you're running from GPU, we move those tensors back to CPU.
Okay.
And then we do a dot numpy so that we can convert it to a numpy array. So the thing is, when you plot your when you plot, right, you want them to be numpy arrays, or you can use tensors also, not a problem. But you will want them to be in the CPU because plotting is done on the CPU. It's not a GPU.
So how we will know whether we are running on GPU? Because my laptop has like, how we will know?
If you see the code everywhere, you'll see that if you're pushing things to the GPU. It's not
Okay.
like automatically that it's happening. We are manually doing it.
You set the device.
Yes.
Okay.
The variable to look at is device.
For example, in the train simple network, we push the model to the GPU, right?
Okay.
And then we also recursively move all our inputs and labels for each iteration of the training loop. We push them to the GPU. So we push everything to the GPU like constantly. We keep
Well,
doing that.
looking at that code right there, you know, the default is CPU.
Yes, but you see that we say torch device CUDA, if you remember the notebook.
The CUDAs means GPU.
Yeah, so this is what we said. And
Okay.
then we pass this device here. So by default,
you
it will
overrode-
happen on the CPU.
That's the default, but you overrode it in the notebook with CUDA.
Yes,
Okay.
I overrode it.
And
So
it doesn't work for Apple, right?
Yeah,
I
you're
guess
gonna have to
not.
figure out how to use that M1 and
You have to kind of comment that line or remove that parameter. That's what we did last time.
Yes, you'll have to remove it. Remove the parameter altogether because by default, it will work with CPU.
So
Okay.
why do you need it? Why don't you just stick to the defaults? Is there an advantage of using the device then?
It's faster.
Oh, okay, only for the speed. Okay.
Yeah. So that's that. And here, and then we make the predictions, right? So now what y hat will be is it will still be a say a vector of length 2, right? So it's going to give me predictions for both my 0 class and 1 class. Okay. So here in this, okay, so here we saw that it returns minus 0.22, minus 0.26. So it will probably be something, this would be 0.45 and this would be 0.55. It will return a numpy array like that. Okay. So that would be my numpy array. So now I'm going to make a plot. And so for the plot, I'm just going to see what is its prediction for 0 for the 0th class. Okay, so that's what I want to see. And this is a code to create a contour plot, but not just a contour with lines, but we wanted to shade the entire region so that we see how it looks for the whole region. So instead, so if you use just contour, you won't see all that colors and all that. You just see lines. But since we use contour F, we see beautiful sort of background for the plot.
oh, it looks very nice.
Yeah. So then we say x1v, x2v. So these are the points for which I want my predictions, right? And I'm going to pass in this. So this would be the color. The color would denote what the prediction for this particular cup for a particular observation is. So we'll see how it looks. Okay. So that is that plot contour F, and then levels. So how many levels do I want? How many levels as in how many contour lines do I want? You will see that as well. And CMAP is RDBU. Okay, and I've used a underscore R. So this would actually reverse my color palette. So earlier it was zeros for red and 1 for blue, but in my plot I've used red for 1 and blue for 0. So I'm reversing the color map. Okay, so this was plotted with matplotlib, and with with Seaborn, it's actually easier to, you know, uh, plot this way. So I'm using SNS Seaborn. I mean scatter plot. You can still use matplotlib and use the same code we used here. Here, see, but then this is a little bit more complicated, and so it looks better with Seaborn.
Okay.
So
when you're done with that file, I would like to go over a function in the other file.
Okay. All right. So here x1, x2, and then I pass in a hue. Hue is my is the prediction for the 0th label, right? And then I'm going to style it by y, and then this is the axis. So let's see how this plot looks. Okay, so that's pretty good, right? So you see these lines over here. So there are around, so in this for this function, I pass in density as 50. So there are actually 50 of these lines, 50 contour lines, right? And if you change it to 20, you'll see the difference, right? See the difference. This is sort of the granularity of sorts. So this is how the model would look. And Kate, is there something you wanted to discuss?
Yes, I would like to see in the training loops.py file what the parameters for your train network with scheduler look like, because I'm getting it's not recognizing classify as a parameter argument.
You just remove it. Is it there in my notebook? Ah, okay, damn. Just delete this whole part. I thought I removed it. Just remove this whole thing. Just don't run any of this.
Oh, okay. So you just wanted to end with the...
Yes.
Okay, because the
So don't run
classify
that
is
part.
not there. I thought
Yeah, I'm still working on it. I've not got it to work. So
okay.
I'll by Monday, I think. So while people are practicing this, by Monday I'll have a notebook so that we can test with all our score functions, right? So at this point, I'm not able to like make that into a as the function isn't working properly for me.
Okay. Well, what's there so far looks nice.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the lab note for today. Now we'll take a short break, around 10 minutes, and then we'll give you some data sets, okay? And you will do the classification. All right?
Okay.